This morning, I was driving with a friend of mine to a breakfast Bible study, and we got to talking about accountability. Well, it's actually on the way home from a place called the Green Dragon, and it's like a farmer's market. And we were on the way. We'd met a whole bunch of elder, elderly gentlemen there, and um, I was relaying a story to him that I heard, and Nelly was part of, but I mostly heard about this. So one guy was struggling with really being tempted in a leadership position with an interaction with a woman. I got to be careful on how I put this out, but so he was. They, they kind of had this connection, and he could feel there's something going on here, and he didn't want it to go any further. He knew it was dangerous. So what he did was he contacted another friend of his on the other side of the city, and he then made an appointment and said, hey, listen, can I come and talk to you? So this guy wasn't a close friend, but somebody in the same kind of area of work that he was in. And so he said, hey, can I come and see you? I just need you to walk me through or help me through through a situation. So the guy said, sure. So he drives out there all the way and sits down with him, and they have a discussion, and he tells him he opens his heart, is very vulnerable about the situation, and says, man, I'm really concerned about this. I don't want it to go anywhere that's going to jeopardize my relationship with my wife, and et cetera, et cetera. So I just really want to be open, and want you to pray for me and let me, I just want to get away from this. And he basically, so the guy said sure, and he was looking for just that friend that he could be accountable to, that he could just air his struggle with, and wanting somebody just to carry the load with him, and then kind of walk with him through it, holding him accountable that he doesn't in fact step over the line when it comes to this relationship, and or this other person that was involved. And so uh, they kind of settled had the discussion, and whatever the story is, the guy prayed for him, and off he went back home. But in the meantime, while he was on his way home, the guy that he visited, his wife came into the room and said, hey, what happened? So he tells his wife, the whole story about what this other guy said. And she immediately calls this other guy's wife and says, you better know what's going on here. By the time he got home, there was a war going on, and he had to face the consequences of that. My point in telling the story is that, oh, by the way, I'm Coach Shaun. I'm Coach Shaun in your corner. And this is my channel just to talk about some of the things that relate to us as men that I have experienced over years, and just seen things that I know have helped me and have helped other men. And I thought I'd start sharing some of these things with you. So in this situation, he gets home, he's got a war on his hands. The lesson that I got out of that whole process was, who do I talk to? Who do I talk to? Who do I trust enough to talk to them, to really share the struggles I'm having, the challenges I'm having, things that could affect my marriage relationship down the line if I don't nip it in the bud now. And trust me, I've had some of these things. I've had some of these situations that became very uncomfortable. And I in my situation, I shared it with a friend, um, at a breakfast meeting, and he threw it open, addressing me in the situation and saying it's all my fault and in front of everybody. And the problem with that was he was actually compromised. He had compromised his principles, his ethics, his moral standard. He had already stepped over the line, and he was berating me in front of everybody. And when you're in that kind of situation, what you do is you walk away and say, I'm not going to talk to him, and I'm definitely going to be very careful about who I talk to. And the question is, like, who do I trust? Who do I trust enough to be accountable to? And as men, we need that accountability in our life. We need somebody to challenge us. We need somebody to confront us when it's necessary. But we also need somebody to be able to carry the load with us that we can trust. A friend one day called me, not a friend, but yeah, it was a friend, and they called me and said, I'm struggling with something, and they said, what is your philosophy, or what is your view on it? And I said, well, my view on it is that it could be me. It could be me that's in that situation. And if I am mature of character, then my job is to help you, to help you. And he had already sort of compromised himself, and compromised his relationship. And I said, but my job is to help you be reconciled, and to be the best man that you can be. And he said, what is your confidentiality clause? And I said, the simple fact is I made a decision, is that nobody, if somebody says to me, or I perceive that it is a confidential situation, and it's a private situation, or it's a very sensitive situation, I won't say anything, and to my own hurt. It has at times been to my own hurt, and so I believe that as a person that another man is talking to, I need to have absolute integrity in that. Can you trust me? And who do I trust? I've spoken to people, and in front of everybody, like this friend of mine that's not a friend anymore, but in front of everybody, he just kind of like, you are the one, you are at fault, you, and he went off at me, and I'm going like, that wasn't. I was coming because I don't want to be compromised. I don't want to be in a situation. And he blurted it out and aired the laundry in front of everybody. For what purpose, I have no idea. But again, in my heart, in my head, I go, you're a person that I will never ever approach again about a private situation. And so my question is like, how do we know? And while I was talking to my friend this morning, two things came to me. One is, there's a journey before a journey, and we've got to begin to walk with other men, not necessarily because they're great social friends, or because they are, esteemed, um, have some esteemed position, but simply because they good men, because they men that I can that I can build a relationship with, that I can just spend time with on a regular basis and just talk, and you grow in a journey. So there's a journey before a journey. And so your first journey will be. So I just had a interruption. My granddaughter brought me some vegetables, or vegetables or salad from the gardens. So sorry for the interruption, but we're talking about this accountability and the journey before the journey, that there's two journeys in this as I see it. And the first journey is that you journey in relationship, that you find those men that you can relate to. And again, it doesn't have to be a social, situation where you having fun together and spending time. It could be, but it doesn't have to be. I meet with some people, some men, and I meet with them once a week or every second week, and we just talk about stuff, and share some of the experiences and things, and tell stories and whatever else. And that's good. It's good for me. It's good for them. But the time comes when you've done that over a period of time, you begin to see, listen, this person I can trust. And you've trust is something you've got to grow into. So you've got to give a chance. You grow into that trust, and now the next journey can begin. So that when you are struggling, when you need to be vulnerable, when you need to have accountability, then it's already, you've got the foundation. The second journey can begin. If you haven't got that first journey, it's very hard to find people, and that's the thing, is like, I didn't journey enough with some of these people to know that I could trust them. And it turned out that I couldn't. Um, but there have been men in my life that I could trust, and I can trust, and I will trust, because I need that in my life. Even as a grandfather, I still need those kind of situations where I've got somebody I can trust. And because I've built up a relationship with them, I've traveled that first journey, then comes that second journey. And that second journey is very important. The second journey is where you are in a compromised situation, or in a challenging situation, or it could be at work, it could be in your leadership, it could be at church, it could be socially, uh, whatever it is. And it could be sex, it could be the opposite sex, it could be money, it could be drugs, it could be pornography, it could be any of those areas. And anything that you bring to the light, there is that ability to dissipate, to where it doesn't control you anymore, but you can manage it properly. And when you have somebody that you're accountable to. The second thing I want to talk about is, just to finish this off, is the second thing is that there needs to be that integrity. There has to be, it's trust from your side, but from the other side, or if you are the guy that somebody's trusting, guard that trust with everything within you till your dying day. Hold that trust unless they say, you can talk about it. Otherwise, I will carry confidences to the grave with me. Not my wife, not anybody in the world knows about some situations that I have been privy to, because people have shared that in confidence with me. And men have shared deep things with me, and I value that as precious to them. It could have been me. I may need that. And I know what others have done to me. So I never want to be that to somebody else's life. So whatever they're going through, we've got to be men of integrity, men that can hold a confidence. And my friend said something today. I think it was in a movie or TV program or something. And he goes, so somebody had a secret, and he goes, well, I can also, he said, tell me. He said, no, I can keep a secret. So his friend said, well, I can also keep a secret. And then he whispered to the guy, he said, yeah, but then it won't be a secret anymore. And because, as soon as you tell the secret, it's not secret. And it's not about keeping secret things. It's about keeping confidences, so that we can walk with people, walk with other men, without condemnation, without criticism, without judgment, without labeling. You know, one of the worst things is when you go to talk to somebody and you want to talk through something, and immediately they have a position that is judgmental, or I wouldn't do that. It's like, how could you have done that? It immediately puts you in a inferior, oppressed situation. And to be honest, is nobody is above the possibility of a failure. Nobody's above the possibility of falling from their high heights, given the right circumstances. One of the things that I am very, very cognizant of in my own life is that if it can happen to anybody, it will happen to me. And therefore, I have to have guardrails in to keep me from going to that place. And so, we keep confidences and we do not judge, we do not criticize, we do not condemn. So, this is some of the things that I want to share on this channel with you. Just experiences and insights that I have that can help you. So, this is Coach Shaun in your corner, and I'm Coach Shaun, and I'm in your corner.